Good morning. So today we're going to do section 6.8. It's the last, no, it's next to the last section before we wrap up this chapter. Linear inequalities and systems of linear inequalities. So here's your first example. We want to graph x plus 2y is less than 4. So just like if it was an equation, we need to solve it for y. So we can get y equals mx plus b. So the first thing we'll do is we'll move the x to the other side. So we're going to try to get the y by itself. So 2y is less than 4 minus x. If it moves, it changes its sign. And then we divide everything by 2. So y is less than 2 minus x over 2. Because 4 over 2 becomes 2. So now we compare to y equals mx plus b. And b is the constant number that doesn't have an x. M is the number that's the coefficient of the x. And since it's a fraction, there's really a negative 1 over 2 times the x. So m is negative 1/2. So to graph this inequality, it's just like graphing a line. You'd start with the y-intercept at 2. Then your slope down 1 over 2. I'm going to do this a few times, if it'll let me. Down 1 over 2. One more time, down 1 over 2. And then I would want to connect this with a line or a dotted line. And our equation was less than. So, dotted line. And I think most of the time, classes will just say if it's less than, a shade below the line. So if you got to do that with Miss Almond, that's still okay. Maybe she had you test 0, 0 to see if 0, 0 worked or not. So when you test 0, 0 into your original, you plug 0 in for x and 0 in for y. And you'd get 0 plus 0 is less than 4. And then you say, is that true or false? Well, that's true. 0 is less than 4. That means we shade the side that has 0, 0 on it. So we do shade that side. You don't have to do this unless that's the way you learned it. Then that's great. But lots of classes will just say less goes below. All right, next example. So example 3 is graphing a system of linear inequalities. So 2 of them, we just need to make sure they're both solved for y so that we can graph both of them. So the top one is already solved for y. So we could go ahead and graph it. Your m is the negative 1 and your b is 1. So we could start at 1. Make slope a fraction by putting it over 1. So down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And then this is a less than, not a less than or equal to, so it's a dotted line. And less than's shade below, so I'm just going to do some lines going this way for that one. And then I will rewrite the second equation over here. We need to solve it for y. So let's rearrange it. Let's move the x to the other side. And let's divide everything by a negative 1. So when you divide by a negative, it flips your inequality. And you would get negative 5 plus x. So m is 1. Make it a fraction. And b is negative 5. I'm going to switch colors. So not to green. Let's go to purple or something. So b is negative 5. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start at the y-intercept. Rise 1, run 1 for your slope. And this is a less than, so dotted line, not solid. So if you can focus on the purple, less than would be going down below it. And our answer is the portion of the graph that got shaded twice. So it's here. That's purple and red. That's our answer. That region. Okay, let's do another. Let's see, how many more do I have? Yeah, just 2 last. If you don't feel like you need more practice on example 4, you could skip this example if you're okay with rearranging and graphing. I think I'll write the second equation just over here because I know I'm going to need some room to solve it. So 2 equations, 2 variables. So we have a system, and we want to solve them and graph them on the same graph. So this first one, let's move the x to the other side. And then let's divide everything by -2. Dividing by a negative flips your inequality. You get 2x minus 4. M is 2. Make it a fraction. B is -4. So let's just go ahead and graph that while we're at it. So B of -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then slope of 2, rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. And it's greater than or equal to. So we get to do a solid line. And greater than shades above. So we'll shade above it. I don't think that's right. Oh, you know why? You might know why. Because I don't need to look at the original. I need to look at my answer that I graphed from, and it was a less than because we had to switch our inequality. So we're shading below. Goodness. All right, on the second one, let's rearrange it and get the x by itself. The y by itself. So move the x over. Divide everything by 3. So I get y less than 2 minus 2/3 x. So M is -2/3. B is 2. Start out with your y-intercept at 2. Go down 2 over 3. Down 2 over 3. And it's less than, so we dot, quick line, and less than shades below the purple. So our answer is this area right through here that is shaded black and purple. Okay, the last one is, I think, the most fun to graph. It's the quickest, and we do see it on what we're doing in the next section. This is example 6. This is also a system because it's 2 equations, 2 variables. They're just super nice. These are nice lines to graph. Just gotta remember how they work. So the top one, x greater than or equal to -2. Go to -2 on the x, cross the x. Whoops. And that's a solid line because it's greater than or equal to. And the numbers that are greater than -2 on the x are this way. Greater is to the right. All right. The second one, y less than 3. Go to 3 on the y. Cross the y, but with a dotted line because it's just less than. And for the y, the numbers less than 3 are below it. So the answer is this area over here that is shaded both ways. All right. Good luck on this assignment.